Just kind of letting you guys up, but then we'll get here.
Okay. It is time to open the regularly scheduled July meeting. What month it is? Of the Colorado Urban Renewal Agency. Time flies when you're at it. And I would ask that our secretary call the roll.
Commissioner Hopper?
Here.
Commissioner Porter?
Here.
Commissioner Warwick? Here. Commissioner Wagner?
Here.
Commissioner Hawkins?
Here. Commissioner Ramirez is excused tonight. He has a commitment, and so we will press forward with a quorum. And I would ask, as always, if there's any commissioners that have a conflict of interest with any item on the agenda at this time. Hearing none, that takes us to any special presentations. I think they're dealt with within the regular agenda, so I don't think there's anything there. And I would ask if there's any members of the public who have anything to say to the Urban Renewal Agency Department. Sounds like we're clear there too. Awesome. So that takes us to the consent calendar. I would entertain a motion for disposal of the consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Porter.
I would move that we adopt the consent calendar as presented.
It's been moved to accept the consent calendar as printed. Any discussion? Second by Mr. Allgood. Any discussion on that? Would the secretary call the roll, please?
Porter?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Allgood?
Yes.
Hopper?
Yes.
Warwick? Yes.
Okay, then we have consented to the consent calendar tonight, and that would then take us to old business. And Mr. Jenkins, you're too young to be called old.
I feel it every day, honestly. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. I'm happy to be here. I was just telling Douglas in the hallway there that I escaped our house, our three boys. It was pure chaos. So I'm happy to be here with you all in this room right now. This is a good escape for me.
I might mention, for those of you who are not on the council, that Mr. Jenkins was appointed at the last city council meeting as our permanent economic director, and so he squeaked by the so he's here in full capacity as the economic development director, and thank you for that, Mr. Jenkins. So, go on.
Thanks, Chairman. I really appreciate that. So first off, I'll start with miscellaneous updates. This is Project East Coast. They're a well-known sandwich shop, at least well-known to me because I live in the East Coast, but they're looking for opportunities to open in Greater Caldwell. They're not as large regionally, but they are looking to expand their footprint in this area. So they're considering North Ranch and other highly visible corridors in the Greater Caldwell region. And the next is Project Q. This is a fast casual restaurant group that I've been working with for just over a year. They're looking at location opportunities in Greater Caldwell as well. So they're going beyond the downtown core. They're visiting this area this month, actually tomorrow, and we'll look at sites that fit their business criteria. And then Project Mod, this is a group out of the Midwest, out of the middle of the country, home manufacturer. They do modular homes. They're considering opportunities in the area. This one's interesting because you all may be familiar with IndieDwell and their plans that had changed they kind of changed their focus in this region. So this is a group that seems to be coming right behind them in the same capacity, which is pretty neat. But they're looking for rail sites, and this one's a little tricky in this area at the moment, but they are strongly considering our area. They love the area. They've been here visiting a few times, and it's just a great fit. It's just a matter of finding the right site for them at this point. I'm also working with a manufacturing business that is considering the former Swimming Networks building. They are currently performing due diligence in the property, and they're looking at opportunities to grow into the current facility. Also working with a new group into our region. This is Shearer Incorporated. They are from South Dakota, and they just purchased Soulcraft LLC. Soulcraft rolls grains for cereal and other products. Shearer is looking to expand operations in Idaho. They currently don't have a great reach from South Dakota agriculture, but they're looking to expand that here. So I'm excited to work with them. Actually meeting with them tomorrow as well. Project Living, I continue working with this group out of California. They're interested in redeveloping 401 Main Street. They're looking for a mixed use project there. They've conducted extensive research on the property. They're planning to add on to the existing building. They have some great plans for that site. They're not just considering that one, but that one's a high priority for them. So that's just something to look out for. Then I'm working with a sports complex. This developer would like to build a complex in the East Caldwell region. looking to move quickly. Had operated the facility out of state, just wants to replicate his operation here in town, which would be a great benefit to us. He's looking to hold regional events at the facility as well. So from an economic development perspective, we see it as a great asset coming into the area. Eisenberg Property, I spoke with the broker. They are looking to build speculation buildings and build to suit opportunities for manufacturing outfits. They're currently working on rezoning the property from C3 to M1. And then Project Patriot, this is the Department of Commerce lead. This is a large manufacturer. They're looking at the East Caldwell area for a future site. They'll be making a decision next month, and they actually plan to break ground in Q1 of 2022. So aggressive timeline there, but they've been great to work with, and I look forward to the outcome of their efforts in finding a location in our area. And then as I move on to downtown, this is Project Maze. This is an entertainment venue that's looking for a space down in downtown Caldwell. They'll be visiting a building next week, and by next week, I mean tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's a busy day for me apparently, and they would like to open as soon as possible. And then Cleveland Event Center, as we have Mr. Muscle here, I had a chance to look at some of the building updates there, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but it's fantastic what he's been able to do in there. I'm really impressed with all the updates, and I'm just excited for the outcome of that facility. 516 Main Street RFP, we are receiving some interest in that one as well, so a lot of inquiries continue to come in through my office. That's been fun to watch, so just a heads up that one is moving, and we have filtered through some questions from users there. And then Project Mustang, I continue working with this restaurant group out of Eagle. They're looking for locations downtown. They're interested in finding a location as soon as they can. They have 2 Eagle restaurants, great reputation, so they'll be a great addition to downtown Caldwell. Project Boom is the same way, they're out of Ada County, and they have their successful restaurant group. They're also considering sites downtown. Project Plant, I'm working with a local group that would like to open a restaurant and bar downtown. They are finalizing terms on a building actually as we speak, so they're getting very close. And then lastly, the RFP for Arthur and Kimball has been published and shared widely. I'm speaking to prospects that have shown interest in the opportunity, so things are moving on that one as well. So I shared it to my unit of developers. We've also published it, and things are, I'm hopeful that for the outcome of that one as well. And with that is all I have unless there are questions for me.
Any questions for Mr. Jacobs? Very good. All right. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That takes us to new business action item number 1, as we discussed in our workshop held prior to this meeting. That this action item would come up during the meeting, and this is to set the public hearing that we will put forth for the public our budget for the fiscal year 2022, which commences on October 1st. And then September 30th of 2022. I would entertain a motion to, or I guess, do you want to introduce that, Carol, at all?
You're doing great. I just handed out what you guys already have in your packets, as well as that you received. So it's just calling for the public hearing to be scheduled at your August meeting.
So I would request a motion to set that public hearing on August 9th, 2021 at 7 o'clock. So moved by Ms. Warwick, second by Mr. Allgood. Any further discussion? Is this a roll call? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That takes us to action item number 2, which is our invoices for July from Ms. Mitchell.
All right, thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. You have before you a request to approve $56,356 in payments for the month of July. We have the monthly payment for economic development at $18,000, our monthly payment for legal services at $6,500, request for payment number 11 for the fair site at $6,866, and then a BIG payment number 5, this represents January through March for price bump. With that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions concerning the invoices from Ms. Mitchell? I would entertain a motion then to approve the invoices for July for the URA.
So
moved by Mr. Porter, second by Mr. Allgood. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? He's closer, so the sound wave hit me
Yeah.
right.
I'll keep trying.
You gotta speak just that distance. This takes us to the treasurer's report then for our monthly cash report. Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. We have before you the treasurer's report. As always, we work in that, for me, it's a yellow box. I don't know what color it comes across to you. So we start at the bottom and we work our way up. Currently, Urban Renewal has $10,149,235.38, and it's sitting in the following accounts. The LGIP account of $116,577.27, the Banner Bank CD of $250,380.49, and then the Banner operating account of $9,782,277.62. That Banner Bank operating account is broken down into the following categories, as we talked about earlier tonight. So we have restricted for other taxing districts at $7,728,732.69. Our Caldwell increment money for the city is $546,440.61. The TVCC rental account is $739,589.32. And then our land account of $767,515. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Any questions concerning the cash report? Ms. Mitchell?
I have a silly question.
Well, go ahead, sir, Mr. Alden.
This Banner Bank CD
Uh-huh,
of $250,000 has sat there for,
yes.
is there a purpose with that?
So when, we have always had a CD, so when we switched bank accounts, the CD went over to Banner Bank. We do get quarterly interest off of the CD, and the way that account is set up is rather than the CD accruing it, that interest just gets put into the operating account.
So the CD is just there because it always was?
Yes, we will be closing that out pretty soon.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
It's just been there forever, I'm just curious about it.
Yes, we'll be closing out the LGIP account sometime in '22, as well as the CD account.
Carol's mad, right?
That's right. That's that money, in case you know, when we look at the budget, and I don't like that little bit of wiggle room,
Yeah.
that's helping me out there.
Any other questions concerning cash? I would then entertain a motion for approval of the monthly cash reconciliation report. Moved by Ms. Warwick. Second by Mr. Wagner.
I give up.
To approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we'll see if I can get this back on track with legal minds. Let's go, Mr. Waterman. Can give us your attorney report for the month of July.
Sounds good. Good evening, everyone. Good to be here. So for Kimball and Arthur, which is the second, item B, Stephen covered that. It's out, due date on the 13th. It's being circulated. On the event center parking area, the Boco property, Mark asked to let you know he's still, working on back and forth with Mr. Wells. There was some text communications here recently and doesn't really have anything substantive to add other than, communication is persisting at a rate. I'm gonna skip Creekside because we have someone here to talk about that, so I'll wrap up here with the, north reallocation area. On that, right now, staff is working on the feasibility study. That's the meat of a urban renewal plan and saying how much revenue do we expect to generate, what kind of projects can we expect to do. That would then be incorporated into an action plan document, which our office would do. So staff's working on that with the target date of sometime early September, getting that approved. In the interim, we're going to put together a declaration of a need therefore, which is one of the initial steps of our renewal processing. There's an area that is deteriorated or is deteriorating and be a good subject for renewal activity. So we'll get that together and try to get it on the next council meeting. For Creekside redevelopment, I know we have an engineer on the line here via Zoom to talk about some renderings that they have. So I will pass it over to Mr. Sindel.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Gotcha.
All right, John Barton with GGL Lowe's joining me as well. So Mark Sindel, 799 Shoreline Drive in Boise. Share my screen here. So thank you for the time. Can everyone see the letter from Chase Nixon up on the screen?
Got it.
Okay, so, I won't go too heavily into this, but Dean and Chandler couldn't make it, we're here on their behalf, they sent you a letter that talks about schedule, design, entitlement, and permitting, construction agreements, and some other miscellaneous, things like, coordinating with your team on the Festival Street improvements and providing some feedback on that. So we're gonna focus a little bit on design and just give you an update. I think before we do that, just wanted to touch on this, which is Project Milestone. So we're working quickly towards the roundtable on July 22nd. We look forward to that. And then we have design review submissions, hopefully approval, grading permits, and utility work starting, so forth and so on. So as we all know, for the agreement, it's a pretty quick clip, and we're moving along quite well and quite rapidly on this thing, which we're all excited about. John, do you want to add anything to that before I jump in to the design stuff?
John,
I think you're on mute there.
I think you're muted.
Very good. No, that looks good. We expect the guidance on the ground table any day now, so, the rest of the schedule looks good.
Okay. All right, so a brief update. We are moving along very consistently and linearly from the RFP way back when and the updates we've given you previously, so the goals are still the same, right? How do we create and perpetuate the vibrancy that was established and been growing in Caldwell, Indian Creek Plaza, and other recent downtown improvements? How do we make sure that we're fitting in with the creek and continuing some of the transparencies and pedestrian circulation and fabric that was created with those efforts, including embracing the idea of winter wonderland and also responding both to the Main Street feel of downtown and the creek. There's two interesting frontages with this project, obviously. And then connectivity, including the alley that was established in Arthur Street and 7th Street and how all those things dovetail with nice public improvements that enhance and make the city better and continue its growth. So there's a quick site plan. Again, no substantial changes with that. As we've been working towards design review and towards the July 22nd roundtable, we've just been doubling down on some of the underlying ideas as we develop the building and site further. So you see this diagram, which talks about how we continue the Main Street idea and frame that and perpetuate the feel along Main Street, and then again, as we said, the creek side with those transparencies. So quick diagrams, obviously we're fitting in with a bit of a historic character, but we want to be of our time and represent where we are now for future history. One of the things that we're doing contextually is looking at the facade proportions of the building and making sure that the rhythm of those facades and the vertical rhythms and widths of those and the material changes are consistent with the fabric of downtown. We mentioned the transparencies and connectivity of 7th Arthur and the alley that continues, pedestrian alley from Indian Creek Plaza. Some representative imagery of those things, some familiar to you on the right. And then some inspiration on the building side of how to refine this and leverage those two different frontages and have a familiar scale of the building. John, I don't know if you want to talk about the brick rhythms of pilots just here briefly.
Sure, I think you want to go ahead to the next page, Similar. Maybe skip ahead to the elevations, I can kind of talk about that. Back to, sorry.
The image here, what we looked at was starting to introduce, a residential scale to the building. The original renderings that we saw had majority of brick on the facade on Main and 7th, and what we're trying to do is, make sure we have an even scale, a more residential scale to the facade. Also, so that's the image on the left there with the red and the black. The red, of course, would be the brick. The black would be an infill panel of some type. We're still working through that with nice large windows, a black mullion to match. Again, breaking down the scale, again, for that residential look. And then to the right of that, looking at, do we also introduce some material massing on the elevation, again, just to provide some pause and breaks in that facade. And I think that is reflected on the updated renderings on Main Street if you go forward more.
Yeah, perfect, John. Let's just go back a few real quickly. So as John's saying, the idea is to move forward with some of the ideas that have been developed in the past. We have developed some of these guidelines. This talks about the facade width, and paying attention to the rhythm of the building horizontally and vertically, particularly that first base and how that engages the public. These are the prior renderings, which will be updated, again, no major substantial changes. But you start to see that more contextual, traditional presence on Main Street, and then this is a view from the creek side where the building takes on a little more residential character, as John said, and a little more whimsical. We're also studying some of these key areas where the public will be engaged. So this is on 7th, which we know is going to be reinvented a little bit, and this is a portal which pulls people all the way through the parking to the other side towards the creek and the future hotel. So you see that guy on the bike exploring ideas of murals potentially, and then softening and nice lighting, seating, and then on the right of this image you start to see outdoor spill out for any food and beverage or lobby or ground activating retail. So we're starting to develop those details we're pretty excited about. These are the working drawings that are coming together quickly as we lay out the units, the parking, just to show you the detail that's being developed. We can go back to any of this if you have questions. And then on John's view here, getting a little bit into the rendered elevations. So go ahead, John.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So again, east elevation, that large portal is what Mark had just shown with the pass-through, the wood soffits, and again, maybe a pathway for pedestrian access on the east-west. And again, referring back to that rhythm and the pilasters that we're introducing, all that brick facade just again, just for that residential scale. On Main Street, which is the north elevation, this is where we're introducing a break in that brick facade. So basically trying to give it some context, a little relief, you could say, to make sure that we're not relentless. So that material change, the dark area there could be, stucco type material, the roof type material. Again, lightening up that facade a little bit.
So that gets to that rhythm we talked about of context and the width of the buildings on Main Street. And then we start to turn the corner to the west and south towards the creek and take on a more residential character. The windows change, the material is a little more simplified, a little bit more of a backdrop to the creek, and we have landscape improvements and activation with potentially live work on the ground floor with patios. So jumping then to a site plan, this is how it's developing. This has got the kind of lid peeled off, if you will. So you start to see more predominance of retail on the 7th Festival Street and on Main Street, and then a piece of retail on Arthur across from Burns, and then we have live work and residential facing another alley, pedestrian alley. So 6 on the numbered is a pedestrian alley, 5 is a pedestrian alley that leads to parking, and then we're working with the city on coordinating efforts on what's going to happen here, which is a little bit TBD as well still. So going to this plan just to show clearly that's the building above the dashed red line. So this is open to the sky for this portion of parking. On the landscape side, we're also diving in and developing and bringing forward the materials established for Arthur Street and the alleys in Indian Creek Plaza. So that same methodology applies, quality materials, nice textures, representing some references to the Snake River Valley and the entry to Sunnyfield Wine Country. And then similarly, for the landscape, we're taking a very intentional approach, looking at a civic gesture, again, bringing forward the ideas from Indian Creek Plaza, and then looking at a creek representation with the landscape and the units and the live work pieces, and eventually the hotel that front the creek. So we're trying to be very regional and intentional there. And we're going to look at, there were quite a variety of larger trees that went in the last round for the plaza. We're going to look at what's working best and what's not working, and try to bring forward the things that are working. And then we don't have to get too much into detail, but again, a native and adaptive and a regionally expressive landscape. So that's probably a good overview. Why don't we pause and turn it back over to you for questions or comments?
Hey, Martin, any questions from commission members? Yeah, I think, got some head nods, so I think we're on the right track there, so. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you all, and thanks for your time.
Appreciate that. Mr. Warman?
A couple items of additional commentary Mark asked me to pass along. We're still working on an agreement for downtown parking. That's obviously something the city would be doing, but that is underway. And additionally, on the site plan, the area designated as riparian was triangular, mirrored is a triangular area that the city is currently just parkland, and there's a conversation about having essentially a no-build easement on that. I think the city's amenable to that, and that is also moving forward, so that's the update I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Warman. Mr. Muscle, I think we're ready to talk to you finally. Thank you for enduring our, we held you to the end. That was probably pretty cruel. I think as you could tell though, we are still endeavoring to require your parking lot for you. It's gone slower than we would have liked it to. But we're not giving up on that. Hopefully it doesn't dissuade you or hinder any of your plans. So go ahead, tell us what you got.
Well, good evening. My name is Mike Muscle, 9747 Riverside Road, Caldwell. To start with the exterior, we have done a lot of drainage repairs in the lot that's next to the irrigation district and 7-Eleven, the building itself. And we discovered there were some major holes. That was what was causing all the leaks through the plaster into the lower part of that basement. Anyway, we repaired those and got a good portion of that fixed. Last year, we had sealed all the brick, so that portion was done. And then we had repaired the roof and applied the epoxy to seal that aluminum roof that's there to keep the historic value there. But over the last month or so, we started putting those storefronts in, and although they've been challenging, they went really well. So it just totally changes the appearance of that building. And the exciting part is over the next 2 weeks, we'll start with those big rounded windows, which we've been anxiously awaiting for. And we took several of those out and put the first test one in, and it fit perfect. It was amazing. So we were like, I mean, our hearts dropped. We were like, oh, is this gonna fit? So we went ahead and cut all the glass for all the other stuff. So it's taken a little bit of time, but everything was built really nice on that building, square and true. And although the costs have risen, but the labor has been on our side because in new construction they're shy OSB and trusses, and so some of that labor has come over to the remodel side and been able to help us. And so we've benefited that way, even though it's cost a little bit more. It's been nice to see the project move forward. Along Kimball, you'll see most of the storefronts are going in. What's been really cool is we put those slider windows so you can serve right through the pass-through in each one of those 6 or 7 storefronts that we have there. And so we should finish those up over the next few days and get them painted, the lower section, so everything's bronze. And the stone will start Wednesday, and in about 2 weeks, we'll start the stucco. And then after that, we'll apply the top coat and put the awnings. They're gonna have bronze awnings on each one of those storefronts. So it should look like a new building on that portion. It'd be nice if we could get a little bit of help. It seems like it's been neglected a little bit on the benches and the trash cans. They're pretty much rusted through, and there's no, I've commented a time or two, and I've been in communication, and so maybe we'll get a few replacements there. That'd be nice to just clean that area up along the pedestrian front. And then to touch base a little bit on the venue center, it's done. we're just fine tuning, it's got a warming kitchen. We had a tenant that signed a letter of intent, and I don't know if they had a family emergency, but all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, no communication, not sure what happened, and they were supposed to move in August first, but, we'll see what happens over the next week or so, but if not, we'll go to our other contacts that, they've been interested in that venue center. Along Kimball, once, I would say we have about 2 months to finish it totally on those 7 units. And we'll keep the existing Hispanic bakery that's there, they have a lot of community support and they're doing well. They've never had heat or air since they've been there. And so we put in, you know, new mini splits and got them fixed up, so they're happy with the new storefronts and everything. On the corner, starting kind of south, working our way to the southeast, I guess that would be. Anyway, the 2 units on the corner, that would be, there's a bakery that wants that, and they're gonna take 2 of those units. And, it's totally different than the Hispanic, what they offer, and so that's exciting, they've signed their lease, and they'll be moving in approximately 2 to 3 weeks in that section. And they'll kind of fight the construction around them opening up, you know? So, and then, it's been real exciting, we've tore out that center section that leads into the 2-story building. And we've got our elevator designed, the new storefront there, it's gonna have a ramp to get into that first level, and then you'll be able to take the stairs or the elevator up to the next level. There'll be 2, offices on that main level, I consider it the main, first floor of the brick building, and then, they'll have 2 new bathrooms, where the stairwells used to be, and then the old historic stairwell will be keeping, and that'll lead up to the upstairs. One wing will be offices that front, Cleveland, and then we're gonna put a restaurant and a bar that are in the top. I just got the plans yesterday with a few changes, but I should have those in hand Wednesday. And then that's about, we'll hire the consultants after that, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing consultants, and, that takes about a month or so from Wednesday, and then it'd probably take the city a month or so to process it, but within 2 months, we'll be able to start on the interior of the 2-story. And, the outside should mostly be done in about 60 days. We'll have everything, all the windows put in, the stone on the front, the awnings, all the stucco work done, and then improve what we're going to on the outside there. So that was our goal, is to get the outside looking nice, and it's easier to lease and so on. But, other than that, I think that's an update for now.
That's great, thank you.
Yeah,
We're
questions?
very excited, you're making great progress on it, it's a big improvement. If you do have some trouble marketing any space, they're right there, seems to have more people wanting space than we've got, so, let him help you there.
There's one last thing I forgot.
Go ahead.
Since we're putting the elevator on and we're creating a little lobby on the 2nd story, that's where they kind of scabbed on that old building. We're going right through the center of the Kimball building in the lobby. We're hoping to do some outdoor seating on the roof.
On the roof, that was.
Yeah, Terry was, mentioning that, and we wanted to do it. We just didn't know if it was, structural and how it was gonna work, but, performance engineering did some calculations and everything, so now we have some idea of what we wanna do, and we're trying to position our HVAC units and being able to screen it. And we'll have to run some ideas past you guys to see if maybe some, seasonal, I don't know what you call those shade structures, you know, they're triangular and you can do them at different levels.
Sails.
We're thinking something like that on the front that we can take down in the winter and then put up in the spring and create the shade. But we're excited about that, and if, the restaurant and bar that we do have in mind wants that, then we'll continue with that and try to make that happen.
That's very cool, we have very few rooftop opportunities in downtown, and the more we can get.
And it'll be mostly shaded in the
Great space,
evening,
yeah.
so that'd be cool too.
Any questions for Mr. Russell?
I just gotta
Mr.
say, I am seriously impressed with how fast you're moving. I mean, some of the stuff we're doing seems to be stagnant and hardly making any progress, and you're doing such a wonderful job. I'm just very impressed.
I would like to ask, I know the corner property's not ours, but the weeds are getting fairly tall. Is there any problem with us accessing that property?
The parking lot,
Down by the road and everything, the weeds are about 2.5 feet tall now. Is that okay if I?
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Is that, we're talking about the Wells property, is that?
Yeah, the old gas station.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're more than welcome to,
I didn't wanna access his property, he's a funny guy to work with, and I was respecting his. I mean, I'm just trying to be courteous, but, you know, we're anxious.
You're mentioning it that way, you're already courteous, so it's
All right.
I don't think there's a problem, you know, it's not, technically, it's not ours yet, so that is, but.
Yeah, it would just be me.
I was gonna say, he may be cited for that anyway, so I'd probably appreciate it, so.
We'll make that happen this week or next.
That's awesome, thank you, yes, yes. And if you do, if, the city should be abating that too, if it's getting unsightly, so we can step in if you need us to.
No problem.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for that update, that's awesome. I think the things I wanted to talk about, we've covered the tenuousness of the Silver Bridge, I think is a big deal, and hopefully we can find a better home for that project. And I think you've got the updates on the other stuff, so unless there's any other commissioner updates, then you know what to do.
One quick question, maybe Rob knows, and I don't know. Throw something. Is there a date, if the new bridge on Highway 30 gets built or does not get built, is there a date they're gonna close that old steel bridge due to safety? Have you heard anything like that?
The old steel bridge will be open permanently for pedestrian access, but ideally, once the new bridge is constructed and completed, then vehicle traffic will be, restricted on the steel bridge.
I think what Commissioner Ogden is asking is there a chance that that bridge will be closed to traffic for safety reasons? And we have no bridge at all, yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah, sorry, misunderstood. My understanding is that that bridge actually, from a structural standpoint, is doing pretty well for its age. And so there's not a reason, I don't think any loading has been posted on that bridge. The only difficulty really is that it's a single lane. But I don't see that the bridge is gonna need to be closed down before, in the near future.
That's what I was worried about. Thank you.
Okay. Any other items, any questions, comments? Then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Move by Mr. Allgood. Second by Mr. Warwick. To adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? We're done. Thank you.
Oh, I know, I'm taking it easy.
Oh, adjourned or is it? There's truth to that.
Yeah, no, it was
We would like to do definitely launch more projects. But these,
not more meetings on the.
Didn't have an error for it.
No, I
So, I think it's, so what we're doing now. I'm gonna go,
How are you?
Okay.
Hi.